All right, everybody, welcome out to the Log Room Guys Craft Beer Show. It is annoying because the music started again. There we go. I'll stop it. It is Tuesday, July the 26th, 2022. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai. Say hello, Mr. Samurai.
It's also National Bagel Fest today.
National Bagel Fest. Yes, you're absolutely right. So happy National Bagel Fest Day.
Now, I'm one of those people that can eat breakfast food for any meal.
There you go. So you can eat a bagel and cream cheese, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Or with peanut butter. My other has peanut butter on it.
Okay.
What do you prefer on
Why
your
don't you put them together?
Nah.
No?
Now, what do you prefer on your bagel other than, well, for you, it'd be pork roll, egg, and cheese?
Pork roll, egg, and cheese. I have three. I have three bagels. I get just a plain bagel. One of them is going to be disgusting. But plain bagel with cream cheese.
Okay.
An everything bagel or an egg everything bagel with pork roll, egg, and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Or a regular everything bagel with cream cheese and grape jelly.
On an everything bagel.
On an everything bagel. Sweet and savory kind of thing going on there?
No, I can see that. That's fine.
Yeah. Kind of what
I just don't like everything bagels. I'm not a big onion fan.
Well, here, see, the only time I get an everything bagel is when I'm getting it and eating it at home, or eating it and then going home, because I'm not about to eat an everything bagel and then have 97 poppy seeds. No, not breathe it. Just have 97 poppy seeds and everything in my teeth while I'm out all day.
Oh, I got poppy seed bagels for so I'll be working remotely tomorrow, and that way if I can, if I have to jump onto a video chat, I can just smile with all the poppy seeds.
Well, there's a point to that though, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're doing that for a reason. So, if I do it and if I'm out and about, like, meeting accounts with poppy seeds in my teeth, it doesn't really go over that well. So,
no,
not so much.
But me being in a business meeting that's the norm. That's fine.
Of course. I hear it's also National Coffee Milkshake Day today.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm drinking what I'm drinking. It's not a Guinness.
So happy National Coffee Milkshake Day. You started already because of that.
Well, I need something to wash the bagel down with.
Right.
And rather than drinking coffee, I'm drinking a coffee stout with lactose, which is close as I'm going to get to a coffee milkshake tonight.
So there you go.
I couldn't make it to Bolero, so.
There you go.
I'm not sure they have one on tap right now, but.
Well, we'll revisit that one once we actually get in.
Yep.
But why don't we jump right to it? Because we got a lot to talk about with our guests tonight. So
we do, and first of all, I want to find out what our guest likes on a bagel.
This is true. So why don't we let's get her on right now, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome to the show, Ms. Tara Nurin. Welcome,
Hi.
Tara. How are you?
Yep.
Put up your
I'm
marquee
hungry
here.
now, Dave. I am so hungry.
Oh, you didn't warn her that I eat at the beginning of every show?
Oh yeah. By the way, Tara, Dave eats at the beginning of every show. So.
You got to warn the guests.
So I have a plug for a little hole-in-the-wall bagel shop in the city. It's not in New Jersey, sorry. But
It's fun.
I like The Works on my salt bagel. And there's a place called Broadway Bagel near my mom's apartment on the Upper West Side. It's at 96th and Columbus or something. Get The Works. So good.
What is actually on The Works?
Oh, The Works.
The Works. Everything that's in the bagel shop is on this bagel.
Cream cheese,
everything. It's
peanut butter,
cream
jelly.
Cheese, no, it's like the Jewish bagel traditional stuff. Lox, capers, onions, tomato. I never really know if a slice of iceberg lettuce is supposed to go on these bagels or not, but
it depends on where you go. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. I've seen that.
Right?
But yeah.
I can kind of live without it. I think I prefer without it. But what else is on there? I think that's it. And then I think they give you like a pickle and a little side of coleslaw with every order. And it's cash only. And my boyfriend once went to Murray's for lunch and then came up to this Broadway bagel place for dinner. And he said Broadway bagel is better.
Really?
So there, yes.
Well, there you go. There you have that.
There you go. May have to take the trek up there.
We'll have to do that next time up that way.
Good.
Definitely.
Yeah, I work down at Flatiron, so
it's in the 90s on 90s and what?
Broadway.
Yeah, like Columbus, Amsterdam, it's probably 96th and Broadway or something.
On Broadway, okay, fair enough. That makes sense.
Yeah, that would make sense.
There you go. Yeah. So, well, you know what? That makes sense. The Upper West Side, the Works, like some bagel stores in Jersey, the Works is going to mean something completely different. It's going to be pork roll. It's going to be bacon, sausage, 3 different kinds of cheeses.
Yeah.
Gabagool.
Yeah.
What do you mean the word? Like, what do you mean the word?
Breakfast meat with a slice of capicola.
There you go.
Hey, man, it's all good.
It works.
All of it is delicious.
It works. There you go.
See what you did.
Anyway, see where I went there? So I'm going to throw your marquee back up. Okay. We got journalist, writer, educator, instructor, beer judge, and author. I left out a bunch. So we're going to get to all of that tonight. Okay. So sit back and relax because it's going to be,
Strap in.
Strap in. Let's see. All right, Dave, what were you drinking again? Let's throw that up there.
So I got something from Common Roots. It's called Latte Cup. It is a coffee stout with lactose. And what I love is that they didn't over lactose this thing.
Nice.
And that's the whole, you've heard me say it about lactose before. My feeling about lactose, it is to beer what, salt can be to food. You use a little and it can really enhance it.
Sure.
Use a little too much and you've destroyed the beer.
Right.
And the way I look at it, the second that lactose...
Or you've brewed one for a 21-year-old.
Yeah, true. The way I look at it, though, once the lactose becomes part of the mouthfeel, you've used too much.
Yeah, and that, by the way, that's no disrespect to anybody that's older than 21 that does enjoy a pastry stout or a huge milkshake fruit sour kind of thing.
Oh, I've enjoyed pastry stouts at Green.
Oh, no,
Angry Chair. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I don't get me wrong. I love all of it. It's just, there's only so much of it I can drink. You can't I can have 6 Schwartz beers in one sitting. I can have 1 pastry stout. So.
Well, you got to kick it back with a Schwartz beer.
That's true. Use it as a chaser.
Yeah.
There you go. Fair enough.
I can have a couple of pastry stouts in a row.
Probably a few.
Doesn't matter what time of year, Tuesday morning. I'm like, why is there not a big sweet stout on the menu? I'm leaving. I need to talk to the manager.
I actually have 2 or 3 in my fridge right now, and I'm actually just. I was gonna have them on the show, but I'm waiting for somebody to come over I could split them with.
I'll come over and split them with you.
Come on over.
There you go.
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. Done.
She might be closer to you than I am.
Yeah, no. Well, she's closer. Traffic-wise, she's closer. She's probably about the same
distance.
Yeah. I'm gonna pour mine really quick.
Yeah, I'm down south, down here. Not deep south, but definite pork roll territory.
Oh yeah, well, I'm in Belmar. I'm not in Belmar by you. I'm in Belmar by.
Okay.
Not
oh
Belmar.
yeah, that's a bit of a distance. That's more than an hour, I think.
It's about. Well, it takes me to get to Citizens Bank Park. It takes me literally an hour and 4 minutes, just over an hour.
Okay.
So it's gonna be a little less to you. So I figure I could, no traffic under an hour. I'm by you. But today with traffic, sometimes it's 2 hours to get up there.
Okay.
Wow.
It takes me half an hour to get out of my neighborhood.
I am drinking I'll throw this up really quick, from Old Heights Brewing, a 1721 Golden Lager.
That's a good beer.
Lager, so we'll taste it. We're going to go lagers tonight. Why not? It is the lager room.
It is a lager room.
So cheers.
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 There you go.
We're going to tackle this marquee one by one.
That's yeah. Well, let's start with the first question we ask everybody. Right?
Yes, the initial question. This is going to be an interesting answer, I think.
Yeah, I really want to know. We ask everybody the same question. First question: what was that you can remember? What was the first craft beer you ever had? Not the first beer you ever had. First craft beer you ever had.
I don't remember the exact first, but I know a couple really early ones were Harpoon IPA. And we're going to go almost all New England, upstate New York here because I was in college outside Boston and I started drinking craft beer, and it was, don't tell anybody, but it was the early to mid 1990s. So we're talking like Saranac Porter, Long Trail, Otter Creek,
Double Bad.
What else? Magic Hat, if we could get it. I mean, this was so long ago that you couldn't even get Magic Hat, I don't think, in Boston. Is that possible? I know you couldn't get it in New York, but I don't think you could even get it in Boston. And I know my first whale was And I still love it to this day, and I'm not ashamed to say it. Harpoon Winter Warmer
Sure.
tastes like apple pie. Have you all had it? You've probably had it, right?
It used to be my favorite Christmas beer.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, thank you. So
Absolutely
good.
used to be my favorite Christmas beer.
Harpoon Winter Warmer, yeah, absolutely, every year. So.
I think it's lost something through the years, so Anchor has topped it for me. Because Anchor, they haven't lost a thing through the years with the Merry Christmas, Happy New Year beer.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah.
We did a vertical once from, this is I guess 9 years ago, so 2013. We did a vertical from 96 to 2013, so it's an 18-year vertical that we did of Anchor Christmas
in one sitting.
In one sitting. Well, there was like 6 of us, so we're not. We were actually, there was 6 or 8 of us, so we really didn't have that much of any one bottle, right? So.
Okay.
But we the best of the 18 were one that was a few years old, so like 2010-ish, and 1998.
Fantastic.
So a beer that was 15 years old was the was one of the 2 best of the bunch.
That's amazing.
They alter the recipe just a little bit every year.
Changes it just a little bit every year, yeah.
Right.
So that lends a little bit to its stayability, I guess.
Right.
Fair. I like the ones that are less spruce dominant and more like on the spice side. I mean, duh. I just told you Harpoon Winter Warmer was my first favorite craft beer, so that's no surprise. What was the 98 like? Do you remember?
Well, it was very smooth, but it wasn't smooth because of fall off. To me anyway. If I could remember, I mean, this is 9 years ago.
Right.
It was you're absolutely right. There was more of a spice profile to it than spruce. There was a little bit of spruce in it. So I don't mind a little bit of spruce. I don't love a lot of spruce in a winter warmer or a winter ale. If I'm drinking like a spruce IPA, then I want.
Yeah, I was just say, isn't one of your favorite beer the Spruce Tips beer from Tilted Barn?
From Tilted Barn, yeah. Exactly. So, but and Heavy Reel actually did a Spruce Tip IPA last year that was pretty spot on too, believe it or not. But
it's an interesting point, because now that I think of it, the Anchors that were more spruce forward, I don't think last as long.
Yeah, probably not.
I wonder if the oils from the spruce do something to it.
Makes sense. Makes sense. They probably break it down, yeah. But I'm sitting on a bottle that's going to be 6 years old this year, an actual Magnum of Anchor. So at some point there'll be a bigger Christmas party that I can take it to, more than like 2 or 3 people.
I'm right here at my feet. There is a vertical of Anchor from, I think it's 12 to 20. So not as old as yours, but eventually it'll be as old as yours.
Eventually it'll get there, yeah. Yeah. No, the only Christmas sales that I've actually been saving, or not Christmas sales, but holiday beers, if you will, are actually celebrations. I like sitting on celebrations and tasting them several years later. Yeah. So everybody says it's a wet hop IPA. You're going to sit on that? Yeah, it actually works.
Well, it works. I don't think I'm wrong in saying, I'm pointing this way because that's where my beer cellar is, right through that door. I have some celebrations from the 90s.
Nice.
That
so bring one of them over when you come over for the pastry stouts.
That sounds great. I'll come over at the holidays and we'll do pastry stouts and celebrations and holiday beers.
Definitely works.
Fabulous. I'm in.
So I'll tell you what, Dave, does this section that we just did quantify enough for John Starodubsky for doing a little Christmas in July segment?
There we go.
There you go.
There you go. John, we just did your suggestion.
There you go. All right. All right. So yeah, honestly, one of the first ones the first one you mentioned was Harpoon IPA. That's one of the first ones Dave and I had too. So
really,
yeah.
We talked about the IPAs that got us into drinking IPAs, and for both of us, it was Harpoon.
Harpoon, yeah, absolutely.
I did not like one of the first craft beers I remember drinking was a Sierra Nevada Pale, and I think I had that first, and then shortly thereafter I had the IPA, and I remember thinking, I don't think I like this hoppy thing.
That's the difference between
again in the 90s.
Yeah, right.
Well,
there goes your lupulin threshold shift. What?
There you go. And Harpoon's always been more of the English style IPA.
Yeah, it's a little more malt forward. Yeah. So, but yeah, the very first time I had something that was super resiny, super grassy, I didn't quite do a spit take, but I almost wanted to do a spit take. Now just give me a handful of hops and I'll eat them. Yeah. Yeah. So, but
yeah, I have like a quick funny story. I hope I'm not like beating this to death, but
no, not at all.
You know, Captain Lawrence makes some very bitter beers, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but they had this triple IPA some years ago.
Was it Alpha something?
Yes, it was. And I opened it at I probably shouldn't say this. Okay, I hope John Henderson's not listening, or anybody from the ABC. I secretly, quietly opened it at the AC Beer Fest, and I was
afterwards when you were back in your hotel room and nobody was around.
Yep.
And I get it.
And I had some volunteers pouring with me at the Beer for Babes booth I was staffing, and it was this young, very young woman, very new to beer, and I was about to offer her some, and it was literally the most bitter beer I'd ever put in my mouth. And as I went to offer her some, I said, "Do you like beers with a lot of hops?" And she goes, "What are hops?" And I was like, "Okay, here you go."
It's called
Seeking Alpha.
Yep.
Seeking Alpha.
Thank you. That's right. That's exactly.
Seeking Alpha.
Oh, I'd love to try that again. It's been a while. I wonder if they still make it.
Apparently they do.
Yeah.
They call it Seeking Alpha Triple IPA.
Nice.
It's not. The years are no longer in production, but this one doesn't. And let's just see.
The last time it was.
The last time it was checked in was
July 22 of 22.
Yeah, Friday.
So
just the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Or Saturday, yeah. Friday, yeah. So anyway, that's good. Yeah, that beer, that Seeking Alpha that's huge, hugely bitter.
100 IBUs.
100 IBUs, yeah. That and what was the one from Revolution did? Unsessionable. And that's a 10%. That's a 10% 100 IBU beer too.
Whoa.
Anyway, all right.
My God, yes, it is.
Yeah, Unsessionable.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to wonder what Maharaja is.
It's got to be up there too.
Oh.
That's one of the most bitter. It's 102.
Oh, look at that.
Because it's Avery.
Right.
They've got it.
It's 102. You know. So I wonder if
Speaking
anybody
of sweet stouts, big sweet stouts, Avery.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And you know what? I just had to look it up. You know what pallet wrecker is?
What?
149.
Oh,
that is obscene.
149. Wow, that is
theoretically anyway.
Yeah, this is true.
I mean,
just like Harpoon IPA, like their ABV when they first started reporting it, they lowballed it.
Right.
Oh.
They absolutely lowballed that beer.
So who's actually going in and checking anyway, right?
And even if we did, who would we tell? We wouldn't tell anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep doing it.
Exactly.
That's
anyway.
Right.
All right. And just out of curiosity, too, just to wrap up the first questions, what was the first brewery you ever visited, if you remember?
I think it was probably Harpoon, because I remember going to an Oktoberfest there, and I have no recollection of going anywhere before that.
Or the late portion of that night either, huh?
There you
go. Correct.
You know, John,
again,
I still have not remembered my first brewery. I've tried. I can't remember the first one I was at.
I remember the first one I was at.
What?
I remember.
It was in Montreal, and it wasn't the Duchel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Molson.
Oh.
It was the mid '80s, so I mean, you know,
there
wasn't a whole hell of a lot going on up there right then. So.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
I bet that was awesome to see.
Yeah.
Especially as your first brewery, to walk in and like have it be just this massive production facility. Was
exactly.
it
was huge.
Inspiring?
It was wow. You know, I mean, it's like it's two different animals, though. I mean, you walk into something like that, and then you walk into a quaint, you know, local, even on a bigger scale,
like Old Heights.
Yeah, or even something a little bit bigger. I mean, even in walking into a carton or a cane or something like that, it's still not the scale of a Molson or anything like that. So, it is two different animals. But yeah, it was just walking around like, oh my god,
That's full of beer.
Yeah, really.
I didn't bring my swim trunks.
Yeah, exactly. So, how do you get up there? Is there a ladder?
Can I have a straw?
Yeah, exactly. Long straw go up and down. Anyway, all right. Let's get into some tarot talk here. So let's start off with let's start off with your journalism. Let's start off with that. Why don't we talk about your journalistic prowess? Let's start where you want to start. What got you into writing? Journalism. Well, anything really, but.
I always wanted to be a journalist ever since I was about 9.
Nice.
I'm one of the few people I know who decided what they wanted to do as a little kid and then did it. Wow. Before then, of course, I wanted to be a princess.
Sure. I want to be a race car driver.
That's true.
Some people have seen the way I drive and say that I kind of am, but
when I was a kid, I wanted to be a firefighter. So.
And you became a firefighter.
Well, I became a firefighter. So.
But your father may have had something to do with that.
Oh yeah, volunteer. I was a volunteer firefighter. I've been a volunteer firefighter for many years. So inactive lately, but still a member of the New Jersey State Exempt Firemen's Association. So.
His father's still active.
My father's still active. He's in his 58th year of active service.
Wow, good for
him. In the grand scheme of things, he's not really that active. Being an active firefighter,
he's on the active roster.
Exactly.
Cool.
So,
thank you to him.
Yes.
So I never deviated. I decided right then and there. I decided I wanted to become a journalist because I was reading a book as a kid. I used to read a lot. And then I unfortunately stopped reading for 30 years, but I've just picked it back up again. Nice. Remember why I love it so much. But anyway, the character in this book I was reading as a kid also wanted to be a journalist. And I remember thinking, wow, people say I'm a good writer. And, my little 9-year-old scribblings. And I thought, I think I would get to learn a lot. And I swear to God, I thought, and I bet I would get a lot of free food. All of those things are true.
That's
so
great.
I became a TV reporter for 10 years, which is what brought me to the greater Philly area. Because I'm not from here. I'm from Annapolis, Maryland. But my last TV job was in Philly. And I quit TV broadcast news TV in 2005. And that's when I started writing about beer. Thanks. A lot
as far as I'm concerned, good call.
Yes.
Well, what I was doing as a TV reporter was covering fires a lot of the time. So also interesting, but not nearly as gratifying.
No.
And so I came into writing about beer for a lot of reasons, but part of it was because I've always seen beer and just the whole culinary world as being a great economic boost to communities. And
I wish some other people saw that.
Mm-hmm. We'll get into that later.
We'll get into that though.
Correct. I saw that breweries were gonna, if breweries sort of reached the potential that I thought they would, and I don't know that I ever thought we would get this far, 9,500 breweries or whatever it is now in the country, that they could really sort of drive tourism, drive, local boosterism here in Philly, for many, many, many years. Even people locally didn't really know the cool things that there were to do, and they didn't do them necessarily. So I thought, hey, people could really start going to breweries and get excited about where we live. Right. So that was a big part of why I really gravitated toward that.
Nice.
Also, free beer. No, just
Nothing wrong with free beer.
Nothing wrong with it.
A lot of free beer.
Well, it depends on where you are now. I mean, again, we'll get into that later.
That's
true.
Right. great segues.
Yes.
I'm going to or foreshadowing, and I'm going to pull an Augie and go, oh, New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey.
Oh, we've mentioned. Oh, have we? That was once, right?
What was that?
He was.
Augie. Yeah.
You just said it again.
Okay. All right. We cannot say his name again because if you say that name 3 times, he pops up on the show.
Yeah, you can make a drinking game out of it. Though.
Yeah, pretty much.
You would love that.
It's like Beetlejuice.
Right.
Yeah. We actually did it once. Dave, I'll tell you really quick. Dave didn't even realize what was going on. We had Jesse Ferguson on the show, and whatchamacallit, and
the man who will not.
And the man who he was texting me on the side. He says, "I forgot that Jesse was on tonight." And
the way he told it was that he's flipping through his Facebook like he does.
Right, but then he texted me once he saw it.
Yeah, saw Jesse, but heard what do you call us, boneheads?
Heard the two knuckleheads.
Knuckleheads. It was knuckleheads. That's it.
But then he texted me and he said, "I forgot Jesse was on tonight." I says, "You want the link?" Because he obviously wanted on. But between Jesse and Dave, they had said his first name 3 times right in a row. At that moment, boom, he just popped up on his screen.
That's cool.
So Dave was like, "How did that happen?"
We said his name 3 times.
Yes, exactly.
That's really funny.
It's been a running joke. So
yeah.
Anyway, but that's great. No, what I said, good call on that. Not just good call. Maybe obviously, broadcast news career is awesome. I just meant for me and your writing, and I'm not trying to blow smoke or anything. I'm so happy for me that you chose to do that.
Yes.
Oh, thanks.
Agree.
It's been super gratifying. I've loved my journalism career. It's even on its worst days, the grind is just getting to you. One thing I can always say is it's never boring. And on its best days, like it changes people's lives. Yeah, I guess we'll probably talk about that when we talk about the book. But that's the best part about it.
Yeah, we'll definitely want to get back there because we had
is changing other people, touching other people, and,
right.
and their lives being changed for the better because of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we had John Paul. We touched upon how his journalism has touched people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
It took a while to get it back from being that deep.
Oh, because I was about to say something kind of deep, but I'll refrain.
No, please do. No, we love those. So, if you give us an example.
Oh, an example of how it touches.
Is that where you're going to go?
Well, no, not exactly.
Say what you were going to say, and we'll get to that when we get to the book. So,
what I was going to say was, you could say, "Oh, it's just beer. Who cares?" But and when I say journalism touching people's lives, I'm looking at the span of my whole career before beer, including up to and including beer. But you could say it's just beer. Like, how are you touching people's lives that way? But part of why I love covering beer is that it's so reflective of who we are as a culture. Like, it both reflects. It both causes and is affected by our culture, and it really speaks to what we what our terroir is, like what ingredients we have access to. It's been used for thousands of years in religious ceremonies and death rites, and some of the oldest evidence of beer that's being found currently is in cemeteries, burial grounds in Israel, thousands and thousands of years old. It speaks to like what's important to us at any given time, and it's just like you can tell so many stories about humanity through beer. And actually, like, that's what my book does. Like, the book is the story of feminism just told through beer. So I think it's so meaningful. I'm so grateful to have been able to be part of it, part of that world for as long as I have.
Well, that's interesting. It's something I've always wondered. Talking to you for like 1-2 minutes, obviously it comes very through that your beer, well-spoken, quite intelligent, very intelligent. how often have you come across sexism in the beer world where, someone's mansplaining to you about beer, and even after you've shown and that you know what you're talking about, they continue?
That is a really good question that I get surprisingly infrequently. And my answer is very surprising, which is barely at all.
That's great to hear.
It is. Now I'm going to quantify that because I believe, and some of my close friends agree, that I just don't notice it. And I think I notice it much more now than I used to. So I'm sure it has happened many times when I haven't noticed it. But what I'm finding lately, now that I am sort of hip to the cues that, I'm being treated differently because I'm a woman, or potentially being treated differently or mansplained to or something, I get it from women probably equally.
Really?
Equal in frequency to the number of times I get it from men. And when that happens,
in an opposite way or in the same way?
No, it's like I will tell, like I'm thinking of being at a really well-known, fantastic brewery in a different state recently, and the beer tender was put in charge of serving me exclusively for as long as I wanted her to. Like, she was taking me through the lineup and everything, and she was really customer service focused, but like she knew what I did for a living because that's why they basically like made her my private beer tender. And I think that she kind of maybe just had a script, right? Because she was explaining things to me like I didn't know anything. And so maybe that doesn't really get to the heart of your question, Dave, because maybe it wasn't being mansplained to. Maybe that was just like she had a script and she was sticking to it. But
or maybe
it made me a little uncomfortable. Like, what, I've been writing about.
She really wasn't having a conversation.
More than a decade.
Right. Like, she really wasn't having a conversation with you. Like, you'd ask her a question and she'd go back to where she was, in her descriptions or whatever.
Or maybe it was the opposite way, where she knew what you did for a living, she knew who you were, and was trying to prove that she knew what she was talking about.
Maybe that is possible. I don't know. I don't know. That's all very, very possible. I took it as she thinks because I'm female that I don't know even the basics, but it's always speculative, right? Like, there's almost never a time when you can prove that somebody is speaking to you in a certain way unless they like say something.
Right. Yeah, because I've definitely come across a couple of beer tenders, in my travels or whatever, that you're trying to have a conversation with them. You're sitting there and you're drinking one beer and you're talking about another one. Maybe you're gonna have it next, and you're just BSing with them about the beer, and you can tell that they're, and men or women. And be honest with you, I've noticed it more with some guys than I have with women, but that they're definitely reverting back to a script that they have memorized. It's not they're going back and looking at beer tending for dummies. They're not doing that, but they're definitely sticking to a script. And like you tell, you can almost see them, like you could see through their eyes that their mind is like looking through the cards really quick, right? And then they just come back with that that standard answer that's written on the description of the beer on Untappd. I'm like, I just want to have a conversation about beer with you. I don't need. And obviously they didn't know that. So, but it's fine. And that's where they're at. And I don't judge. That's fine. The only way they're going to get to the point is to do that and work through it and get there themselves. Right. So,
you know what I tend to do when they do that? I tend to then pretend that I don't know anything about beer. And then just let them go.
Just let them go. Yeah.
That's
what I did.
Yeah.
I do find, and maybe it is more about like them just, I find that when I do feel I'm being mansplained to in the beer world, it is somebody who's very young and obviously very new to the industry. And so maybe it's more of an inexperienced thing. So I've been really fortunate to not have to deal with that in my career. I have no idea how I've escaped it because I am literally the only person who doesn't have at least dozens of stories that are at least cringeworthy at best.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Well, hopefully that becomes more the norm.
Yes,
I hope so. Yeah. And thank you for asking that question, because I think it becomes more the norm the more we talk about,
absolutely
talk about it. So getting it out there and having this conversation is helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've got the first master brewer in New Jersey was female.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You mean Elizabeth Haddon?
I thought it was Gretchen.
Oh, you mean in contemporary times? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Time.
So that myth is ridiculous. It's outdated. And maybe they mansplain to us because maybe they think we just drink PBR and Budweiser because of our age.
That's a possibility.
That we didn't grow up with craft beer.
Yeah. But we have a different appreciation for it because of when we grew up.
Because we were there.
That's my outlook on it. Anyway.
But they don't see it that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, some of them do. Some of them actually get it. Some of them actually, I can tell you right now, there's some 20-somethings that I deal with on a regular basis. And I won't mention Corey's name. I'm sorry.
I was going to say Corey.
That actually, I feel it's almost like an admiration kind of looking up, and not because he's my daughter's boyfriend, but because he appreciates butter. Well, maybe there's a little bit of that in there, but I really take it as he appreciates where we came from as beer drinkers and got to the point with everything that's going on today. So it's almost like, he wants to learn through our eyes kind of thing. So I get that. I get that a lot from people. So.
And it's neat to find someone who's younger who will understand that. I remember Poor Henry's. I was listening to a guy. He had his whole crew there across the bar. Poor Henry's. They're dead and gone now, unfortunately.
Shame.
And I forget who I was sitting next to. I think it was Coop actually said, or maybe it was Meathead. And they're like, so how much has he got wrong? I said, well, a lot. Because you're going to say anything? I said, no, we've all been there where we thought we know what we're talking about. We're talking to people who don't know anything and we're giving them wrong information. Turns out that later on, about 2-3 years down the road, he found out that I was at Poor Henry's and he showed up to talk to me. And so we started talking and I told him, I said, no, I know who you are. Because how do you know who I am? And I told him the story. He's like, well, what did I have wrong? And so I explained it to him. He's like, because man, you got to teach me. I said, no, you got to teach yourself. That's how you learn it. Drink it, learn it, and have fun with it. But I was just so impressed at his age to understand that I can be wrong, and I want to learn more, and that really impressed me. So so you do get that sometimes, which is cool.
Right. Let's go back to really quick. Let's bounce back before beer journalism. You were on broadcast television. Talk about that for a minute. You did that for about 10 years. You said in Philly,
that's what got me here to Philly. I was really fortunate. My first paid full-time job in TV was in Charlottesville, Virginia, which is an amazing town. It was an amazing small station. And so I did that for 2 years. And then I made a big market jump. I went to Memphis. And I was able to make that size market jump because I'm fluent in Spanish. And they had a weekly segment called Los Latinos de Memphis, the Latinos of Memphis. And they had somebody voicing it in Spanish with English subtitles, and they decided they wanted to switch that. So they brought me in to be a general assignment news reporter, but then also do this weekly segment where I would report on something related to the Mexican community. They were mostly Mexican there, Mexican community in Memphis, do it in English and subtitle it in Spanish. So I did that. And then I came to Philly. CN8, Comcast used to have a news station called CN8 that anybody who would people remember it because if you had Comcast in the Philly area and you turned on your TV, that's what would pop up automatically. So like
That's the first
Tilly,
channel.
you all might remember as sports people,
Mhm.
Lynn Doyle, Art Fennell. Anyway, so that's what brought me to Philly. I lived in Wilmington, Delaware for 2 years, and then moved up to where I live now in Camden, New Jersey. And this is home. I don't plan to ever leave.
There you go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and you know, I was fortunate in that the stations did give me more opportunity than a lot of stations would to do some of those like meteor stories. It wasn't always just chasing the fires. There was a lot of that. But I've always really liked, I used to say that I didn't want to be the one to like go to the murder scene. I wanted to be the one to go back the day after the murder scene and figure out what was going on in, you know, that neighborhood and in our society in general. Who was this person? What were the factors that led to this crime, etc. So I was able to do some of that. Not as much as I would have liked, but
not just facts and speculation, but the story behind it.
Right.
Well, it was early. It was before, you know, 24-hour news was just like a bunch
and
of
all
people
was
who
speculation
were on the screen like we are. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Now, by the time you get to the next news broadcast the next evening, like there's been so much decided and figured out most of the time that you can that they're on to the next story. So because it just keeps going at that point for
lost,
in the 24-hour news thing.
That lost Singapore airplane and all the oh my God, it's like please stop. We know nothing. Stop speculating. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So you made the jump to journalism. What were some of the outlets you wrote for, the publications, the bigger publications? So obviously you've done your own stuff.
Yeah. So when I left CN8, it was 2005, and I went freelance. Started. I still did some broadcast, still do, but most of it was writing. So I have been the beer and spirits contributor to Forbes. That's my biggest, but I've written for Food and Wine. I've written for almost every Philly publication, both still in existence and defunct. I wrote the alcohol column for New Jersey Monthly for a long time. What else? The Inquirer, the Philly Inquirer, I've written for. A lot of websites that some of which are still around, some aren't. Eater, Thrillist, City's Best, AOL back in the day.
Oh yeah. There's still some stuff on there.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome with all of that. There was a lot. I read remember
that's an impressive resume.
It's a super impressive resume.
Thanks. Thank you.
So then you're doing a lot of your. Obviously, you do your. You're doing all of your stuff. Let's go right to the book. Let's talk about it. All right. Because actually, before we go there, I sense you're opening another beer.
I did open another beer.
All right. So what would that be?
Oh, you're gonna hate me.
You didn't open the one you gave me to. Oh, I do hate you. So
is that Night Shift?
It's not only Night Shift. It's John's favorite beer from Night Shift.
Oh, yeah.
It's my favorite beer from my favorite Massachusetts brewery.
Mm-hmm. So technically his favorite Massachusetts beer. I had one left. I gave you one. Stop crying.
I know. I had one of the 4-pack. I get it. I should feel fortunate. So
you should.
Anyway.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm going to potentially make you very jealous. I have a Light Bright from Night Shift that they sent me once. It's in my living room. It's really cute. It's this little mini Light Bright.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, cool.
With an owl on it.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Payola.
Yeah, John loves it. When Carrie and I went up to Boston, we went to Night Shift, and Carrie's like, you can tell John you're here. So all I did was take a picture of the sign of the peanut butter place across the way and send it to him. He's like, damn it, you're at Night Shift.
I think I sent you back the middle finger emoji. I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty certain that's what you did, yes.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm gonna for my second beer. I'm gonna have one of these bad boys.
Oh, I've heard of that beer.
Yeah,
I think I had that in the parking lot of City Field.
yeah. Awkward tan lines. It's a
Who
Vienna
makes
lager. That would be from Coastal Brew Works.
Okay.
Our sponsor.
Yeah,
Aha.
these guys right here.
Gotcha.
It's three. Well, it's two gentlemen and Johnny.
Two gentlemen and Johnny.
And John.
Right. There you go.
No, it's Johnny who you're looking at, Matt Potensky, and they have a silent partner, Mr. James Healy.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And this is their third release.
Okay.
I have their second release at my age.
Do you?
I did.
A blue can.
With the blue can, it would be the Trojan Seahorse, which is the double IPA.
Cheers.
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 There you go.
That's a
Here's
beautiful
my
beer.
water.
You have. Water.
There you go. Yeah, it's actually
the beer writer's drinking water.
there you go.
Mm-hmm.
We actually brewed this with
It happens.
Almost all Weyermann Vienna malt. So there's no base malt in it. It's all Weyermann Vienna malt.
Oh wow.
Little bit of Munich. And that's it. It's all Weyermann. So it's pretty tasty. I actually had a couple people over the last couple weeks tell me that, well, if there was such a thing as a summer Oktoberfest, this is what it would be.
Oktoberfest. Interesting.
Yeah. No, I literally probably it had to be at least 3 different people, who didn't even know each other, said virtually the same words. So I'm like, all right, I'll roll with that. That's fine with me. So.
You get some of those at the beer fest this weekend?
Say again?
Did you get some of those comments at the beer fest this weekend?
1 was this weekend, and 2 were before that at just different venues.
It's where were you? Was it Chester, right?
Chester, yeah. Cheers in Chester was this past weekend. So we had Tan Lines and Building Sandcastles.
Yeah, I couldn't go because I had a concert to go to.
That's right.
Chester, New Jersey, you were in?
Yeah. Allison Kohler's event, the Cheers in Chester.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm going there on Friday. Some farm, Allsteady Farm or something.
Allstead.
Allstead Farm is having like a media day for its 40th anniversary, and they got me with hay rides, ice cream tasting, and lunch. I'm like, I could spend my July Friday on the farm eating. Sure, I'll go.
That works. Absolutely.
You're not too far from Long Valley there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Long Valley's not too bad. Chilton Mill's right there. Jersey Girl's not too far away.
Yep.
Right.
So you're right by like 3 or 4 breweries.
Hackettstown.
Mm-hmm.
So you got Manskirt and Zigmeister.
Zigmeister, right? Yeah. So.
Been to all of those.
Mm-hmm.
What's around there that's newer that maybe I haven't been to?
Chilton Mills.
Chilton Mill.
Chilton Mills. Okay.
That's on the way out to Long Valley.
And there's a cidery too, just outside of Chester in Burnageville.
It's right on 206.
Right on 206, called Burnt Mills.
Oh yeah. Okay. Thanks for the tip. Maybe I'll stop there on the way.
Very, very, very good ciders. Very good.
Nice. Okay.
Very, very popular.
Yeah.
So parking can be problematic.
Gorgeous space too. They have a beautiful outside, nice barn building that they're in. It's really nice. Right on 206, just south of Chester in Burnersville. On 206. So, yeah.
Funny, I was innocently going to ask you if they have food and non-alcoholic beverages, and then I remembered where we are. So.
But yeah, Allstead's is great though. Allstead's is a great farm. We were.
It's huge.
It's very big, and it's very. Their donuts are delicious. The ice cream, everything's there. Yes.
I prefer Hackle Barney's donuts though.
Hackle Barney's is good. I like them both.
Hackle Barney's is a little smaller, and they also they serve hot dogs there, but they boil them in cider.
Yep, they do. They do.
They're really good, actually.
They do. And ironically, the owner of Hackle Barney is actually, or maybe one of the owners of Hackle Barney was actually in the Marines with Jim.
Jim?
Yep.
Really? Mm-hmm. The silent partner of Coastal Brew Works.
Exactly. So, and it comes around. There you go.
There we go.
Full
circle.
Full circle. It's like a circle.
Okay, so let's move on to.
Let's move on. Okay, so let's talk about the book. I got to put this up right now. Hold on. Here we go.
Sabina Weyermann. I'll just transition quickly.
This is the book.
Awesome! I brought it down with me. Cool, thanks, Sabina Weierman.
Unfortunately, it's covering your face and not mine or Dave's.
No, it should be.
Whose
You should put it
decision was
sideways.
that?
Because it just centers it on the screen. So here, I can actually do this. Hold on. There you go. I'll still cover it.
That doesn't work.
There you go. All right, I'll put it up. Anyway, that's the cover of the book. There you go. So talk ahead.
I love the word witches on there.
Yes.
Yeah. I spend the chapter on witches. Well, not the entire chapter. I talk about a lot of different things in that witch chapter. If you're a diehard Catholic, I would not recommend reading it. Or you might want to burn me at the stake.
Explain. Oh, wow. That was a Lost Abbey label that a lot of people got upset about. The Wiccans all got upset about that one. Oh, what was it called? Where it
Wait, what'd you say?
A Lost Abbey beer had depicted an image of a witch being burnt at the stake. And the Wiccans all got really upset about that one. Can't remember what it was called.
Controversy.
But explain how witches tie into beer?
So a couple different ways. The reason I'm mentioning the Catholic Church is that there, in the Middle Ages in particular, the church depicted beer making women in very, very, very unflattering ways. In decorations on the church walls that you can still see in some places in Europe. And the Catholic Church also, as it was trying to convert pagans, basically pre-Christian worshipers, into Christians, they would take some of the goddesses related, all gods and goddesses, but we're talking beer, so gods and goddesses related to beer, and turn them into saints. Saint Bridget, for instance. It's very possible that, and sometimes the saints existed first, and then they might have become goddesses second, but they're intertwined. So Saint Bridget is a great example of a saint related to beer, who is also associated with some goddesses. A lot of different ways also. Literature over the course of many centuries depicted women in beer-related women in very unflattering ways. And I do spend a lot of the chapter debunking some of that witch Brewster connection. Over the past couple of years, it's been very popular to write and share articles talking about how the witch's hat and the broom and the cat are, things that we take as symbols of witchcraft were actually tools used by medieval beer making women. And it's a great story, but the proof doesn't necessarily line up.
How do you use a cat? How do you use a cat to make beer?
Well,
Everybody
people
needs
would
a
have
cat,
cats
right?
around. People might have cats around to eat the mice and the bugs that would be in the grain sacks.
And the broom to stir the stirrer.
Well, more like the broom being an ale stake, which women might have placed in front of their front doors to let people know, including the tax man, let them know that they had beer for sale, or ale, as it might have been called at the time.
And the hat?
The hat, in certain time periods and certain places, women who would have surplus, because women were brewing beer at home to feed the families, right? And so when they would have surplus, they would go to the village, go to the marketplace, go to their neighbors and sell it. In some places, they would wear tall hats to walk around the marketplace to be with their beer to be seen above the crowd. And so people take it literally and say, oh, well, the witch's hat must be that. But my main source for this sort of historical correlation shows that the time periods and the places and the hat styles don't actually match up, so that's probably not actually true.
Oh, you didn't use Cotton Mather as a source?
No, my source is actually a woman named Christina. She's a PhD in Ireland, and she is what I would consider to be the preeminent scholar on medieval Irish Brewsters and folklore. She's really amazing. You could have her on your show sometime. She's great. And then in modern day, there are some brewers. I profile the female ones who practice pagan religions. Sometimes they're Wiccan, sometimes they're not. And they incorporate what we might consider witchcraft into their brewing. Like maybe they call in the 4 directions before they brew, or they might sort of say an incantation before they brew, things like that.
They're not using Eye of Newt.
Hopefully not anymore. I don't think that's
thank you,
legal ingredient.
That adjunct has been left out for years.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting point because I think the first record of beer sales came out of Sumer,
Right.
Sumerian, and the brewers were women.
Yep.
And I think if I remember this correctly, I may have this wrong, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it was illegal for men to brew beer. Only the women could brew beer.
I have not come across that being true in Sumer.
I may have made it up.
But I'd love to know if it is.
It may have made it up. But for the most part, women brewed beer in Sumer. And
you may have made it up.
I may have made it up. My brain does stuff. I'm getting old.
You may have made it up years ago, and for you at the moment, it's
became canon. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that. It is true though that priestesses were in charge of making beer and being in charge of the worship of the deities who were in charge of beer, and they would have women working for them brewing beer in their name in Sumer.
Right.
And then also probably that tradition of women brewing at home and then selling the surplus. It's believed that did happen in Sumer as well. That was like the first, potentially, more scholarship is developing about this, but potentially that was the first civilization where that happened.
Nice.
Yeah. It set the stage for many civilizations to come. I mean, the history of women in beer just repeats itself over and over and over and over and over. And the history of men coming and taking it over, whether intentionally or not, happens over and over.
And we're not just talking about beer; we're talking about beer, countries, anything. Yeah. But no, I think the history of beer is really fascinating because it's developing. We're learning more and more constantly. Originally, it was thought that it was first seen in Egypt, but now they've proven that it more likely started in the stands somewhere, in the grain fields. Last I heard, things may have developed since the last I heard, because I don't go diving too deep into it on a regular basis. So it's really neat to just watch and see what they uncover. Like you said, from pottery shards, from, in graveyards and tombs and all that, and seeing, aging the tomb and then finding out that, oh my God, there was beer in here, and this is older than the last we found.
I wonder how it held up.
I mean, some of the information in my book is probably already out of date because of new archaeological discoveries. And you mentioned Egypt. It's kind of cool because, and I really want to learn more about this. It is looking like industrial scale beer production was happening in Egypt before we thought. And in fact, I just went to the National Homebrewers Conference in Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago, and Travis Rupp, who was the brewmaster at Avery for a long time, is one of the top ancient beer historians in the country, and he gave a presentation about that.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, that was fascinating. I also am interested to know how early people in current day Ethiopia were brewing on an industrial scale. I
Really?
predict we're going to see more coming out about that. Yeah,
Wow.
because I mean, people were in probably, we don't really know anything for sure when it goes back that long, but people inhabited that part of the world before they actually got to Egypt, because it's believed we all started in southern Africa and then started
Right.
walking up north toward Egypt and then Asia, and they
Over-
would have
over
gotten
by
to
Borscht.
Ethiopia first. And
yeah.
so you had that great civilization there that was, I think, probably making beer. So I'm interested to see what we learn about that.
That will be interesting, because even earlier than we thought, because I know that we thought that it was the time of the building of the Great Pyramid, because they've got receipts of the workers of the Great Pyramid being paid in beer.
Right.
So it's even prior to that. That is fascinating.
And the fact that the ink didn't fade on the receipt, and you could actually
Well,
tell.
it's literally carved in stone, John.
Literally.
No, not in Egypt. That's Sumer. In Egypt,
Right.
It was on papyrus, and papyrus
Right.
papyrus lasted.
There you go.
Well, the inks they used anyway.
Right. So I kid.
And you also have a very dry, warm climate, so you don't have the deterioration you have in a more humid climate, like
Fair enough.
the swamps of New Jersey.
Right. Exactly. So, all right. Yeah. So I'm actually looking forward to, and I'm planning on reading it. So I'm actually very much looking forward to reading the book.
Thank you.
And it's going to be a good read. It's probably going to be a 2. I'm probably not going to put it down. I'm probably going to pick it up and, like, within, if not a day, 2, like a weekend, I'll have it done, if not sooner. So
Yeah.
but,
I can't wait to hear your reaction to it.
Yeah,
it's
no,
a lot.
definitely.
There's a lot in there. I mean, it spans the globe and 200,000 years.
Well, it combines two of my favorite things: beer, and I was a history major in college by default, because after my junior, well, I can't legally call it my junior year. I didn't have enough credits, had enough beer.
Your first junior year.
My first junior year,
Right.
they called me in and said, you have to declare. I'm like, I really don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I still don't. And
of course, he was 35 at the time, but that's
and counsel looked at me and goes, well, you're about 6 credits away from a history major. I'm like, okay, because I'm history.
Done.
Cool.
I guess I liked it that much that I inadvertently took a lot.
Without even realizing it, you did. Yeah.
Yeah, I had no aim. So set me off aimless. I'm going to learn about history.
There you go.
Now, I want to go, John, if you'll allow me, the next thing I want to talk about is on that moniker, educator.
Yep.
Yeah, I teach 4 credit beer and spirits classes at Wilmington University in Delaware, which is fun. And I do a lot of speaking about different topics, from women in beer history to, engaging with the media, to diversity, equity, and inclusion approaches.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So historical or contemporary? The woman in beer that you admire the most?
Oh, yeah. I do get that question a bit, and I don't have one. I worship every single person I put in my book, and so many others who aren't in the book. It's just staggering to me. One of the reasons I love writing about women in beer so much is that the women I interview are just jaw-dropping. Those people who make you feel like you've never done anything in your life? Like, that's
most people I meet, yeah.
Every woman in beer I interview, and they just all bring just these, they're just, I've never used the word dynamo before, but there it is. Like, they're just dynamos in so many ways.
How about it?
I mean, if I have to name one person who stands out, I really love talking to and about and writing about Suzanne Dennison, who opened New Albion Brewing with Jack McAuliffe in 1976 as the first ground up post-prohibition craft brewery in America. She's just cool. She's in her 80s now, and she's such a buddy, and she just has this unbelievable attitude. And the things that she was doing in beer before anybody ever thought about the idea of this being a thing could fill a book, and they do.
So she could talk to men and women-splain to them.
Yeah, big time. But she doesn't. You know, she's so humble and gracious. Like, one of the first things I asked her when I met her was like, so, because she still goes to breweries. She lives in Seattle. I'm like,
wait, there's breweries in Seattle?
What?
I said, wait, there's breweries in Seattle?
She loves Reuben's is one of her favorites. She's a regular there. Speaking of coffee beer, they have a coffee program. But
wait.
Can't do that in New Jersey.
Coffee at a brewery?
Yeah. Should we talk about that now?
Well, no. You were gonna say when you first met her, what did she say to you?
Oh yeah. So when I met her, I was like, oh my, do you like tell people who you are? I mean, she's like the mother of craft beer that nobody's ever heard of before. She's like, no, every once in a while it'll come up and somebody will be like, oh, I've heard of you. Let me buy you a beer. That's cool. She's like, but generally, no, I don't say anything.
Wow.
I'm like, wow, you are a living legend, but you're not, because no one's ever heard of you, because
they should.
But anyway,
and they should, and rightfully so, and they should. And you know what? We'll find some stuff and we'll put it up on the library Facebook page. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely,
and the website,
of course. So you teach at, so it's Wilmington University that you're teaching at.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing to touch on before we get to the 300-pound elephant in the room. All right.
Hey, I'm sitting right here. Oh, I'm not 300 yet.
You've lost weight. You're fine.
Getting there.
There you go. You're a certified BJCP beer judge. So what was the? I don't know. I want to ask a question about that. I mean, like, what was your? I guess it was like, what's your fondest beer judging memory?
Oh, my question would be why.
I thought you were going to ask me why. I was like, huh. All right.
That would be my question.
Think of an answer for why.
Well, we both judged before, Dave, but I mean,
yeah, we have.
Yeah, but
I was dead for 3 days.
Right. So hence the why, right? Exactly. I got you. Yeah. But no, seriously. What's your fondest, even if you have one, fondest memory of judging? Whether it's a beer or an event that you did judge at, whatever it is.
Oh, I want to, if it's okay, answer a very slightly different question, because as you were asking the question, a memory popped into mind, and it was while I was studying for the BJCP. So it's not a judging thing. I can't offhand think of like my favorite judging experience. If I think of something, I'll throw it in. But when I was studying for the BJCP, I was studying with my fiance at the time, and we were on a beer trip to New England, and we went to the Trapp Brewery, Von Trapp Brewery in Vermont. Mm-hmm. And it was before you could get into New Jersey. It was really small. It was part of a resort. Still is part of a resort. Yeah. And they just had some of the best German style beers I'd ever had. And we sat in this teeny little tasting room bar, drinking like the Bach and the Helles. And we were taking notes and comparing because we were about to take the exam. And that was just like a really great moment of being able to just taste this perfectly brewed beer. And know that I was doing it for like an immediate cause. Right. That felt really good.
Now you passed the quiz, did he?
Yes. Okay. We both did.
Yeah. That's good.
And I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, it's Gary Rosen. Some people watching might know him. He's a larger than life figure. To say the least.
Yes, he is.
Jersey beer. Jersey and Long Island beer.
Just a bit,
yeah. Yeah, we both passed. Speaking of women, sorry to cut you off. Amy Garlett if anybody remembers, she's worked for Dogfish Head for a long time now. She was the first PhD that they ever hired at Dogfish. She was the instructor who taught the BJCP study class.
Wow.
So thanks to Amy, we both passed.
There you go. There you go.
Very nice.
Thanks to Amy. So, okay.
Let's get there.
Let's get there. Let's get there. We foreshadowed about 6 different segues.
Should we go all bullet point the stupidity first, and then discuss it, or one bullet point at a time?
Why don't we do that? Why don't we just bullet point the stupidity? All right, let's start with the overall fact of the overreach of the ABC.
And I've brought this up before, where you've got an alcoholic beverage control body trying to control something that shouldn't be within their realm. We talked about at one point how the Michigan ABC tried to keep a flying dog beer out of Michigan because they thought the name and the label was crude.
Raging Bitch.
And Flying Dog took them on and won the case because they're like, no, you can't do this because that's censorship. Your job is to control alcohol, not to censor. And a lot of people feel that that's what the New Jersey ABC is doing right now, is they're trying to control things that are outside of their scope of responsibility.
It's a huge overreach. It's a 100% a huge overreach. I mean, why is an Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission trying to regulate television watching, entertainment,
food,
events, food. Coffee, soft drinks,
off-site events. Yeah. Yeah. I
mean,
that one
ridiculous.
Makes me mad.
So give us your take on it, Tef, from you. Everybody, anybody's listening has heard Dave and I for several weeks now. So give us your take on everything. It just, spell it out from Tara's perspective.
Yeah, I mean, my perspective probably echoes your perspective. Echoes a lot of other people's perspectives.
Oh, well, sure, you word it better than we do.
I mean, I do write about alcohol laws around the world. I write about brewery laws around the country. New Jersey has one of the most obscenely restrictive brewery
regulations.
A set of regulations of anywhere in the country, and it's so anti-business. It's so anti-common sense. You bring up food. Like, here's the most hypocritical part of the whole thing, in my opinion. It says beer tenders have to be tip certified, and basically the main certification agency is Tips. Well, the main point that Tips gets across, or at least one of the very main ones, is push food, have food. And the breweries in New Jersey are not allowed to sell beyond like a bag of pretzels. They're not allowed to sell soda. Well, I go to breweries with people who have been sober for decades and they can't buy a soda. I mean, it's dangerous. It's really dangerous. Like, what if I'm a parent and I have my kids and I'm going to meet some friends for happy hour or a Saturday afternoon or something, and I can't buy a soda or buy one for my kids? It's like those laws that are written by lobbying organizations, where the lobbying organization just hands the sponsor of the legislation the bill, and then that's what gets introduced and passed. I mean, this is, everyone in New Jersey knows. I'm not saying anything that everybody doesn't know, but this is larger. This is like relatively big money interests stifling competition in ways that like don't even make sense. And I'm offended, as are a lot of us, that the ABC just ignored public will. It's very clear that the vast majority of people in New Jersey appreciate the breweries. It doesn't make any sense when you look at all the things wineries can do. You can get married at a winery. You can eat dinner at a winery. You can go see a band at a winery. For some reason, maybe like the lobbying organizations weren't like as well funded or paying enough attention when the wine industry was like making its gains in New Jersey, predating beer. But
I've got a theory behind that.
There's no parity there. It's dangerous. It's stupid. It's reckless. And I hope that the legislators pay attention and enact some laws that will rein this back in.
Well, the thing that I look at, the whole difference between the wineries and the breweries, there's no such thing as big wine. There's such thing as big beer, right? And when you look at these restaurants, look at their taps.
Look at their walls. Look at their neons.
Look at the neons.
Look at their napkins. Look at their coasters. Look at
the bar runners.
Bar runners.
What do they say on it? It's usually some sort of AB InBev or Miller Coors product.
And what's that? And what's that one brewery? It's in Newark. It's right near the airport. I forget.
That would be Budweiser, which
that's
an AB InBev product. And so you would think that a lot of the lobbying, and we know who the lobbyists are. It's the restaurant lobby. And you would think that maybe it's
a couple more, but they're the big money ones.
They're the big money ones. And that's why I'm kind of suspicious that big beer might be behind this in throwing money.
It wouldn't shock me one bit to find out that a specific Newark brewery is not behind it, but part of this.
Yes, at least the money behind it.
Right.
That is Greasing Palms in Trenton.
But it's because it makes no sense.
Fair speculation.
Whatsoever. It's pure speculation, of course.
Yep, it is.
No, fair speculation.
I said it's a theory.
Oh yeah, of course. All right, but it makes no sense because in almost every other state, breweries and restaurants and bars work harmoniously,
symbiotically,
and only in New Jersey can an acoustic guitarist standing in a corner of a brewery at 6:30 on a Tuesday night take business away from a restaurant down the block.
Well, and we talked about economic development before, and you're talking about this symbiotic relationship that could exist. Look at Medford, New Jersey. Remember a couple years ago when some bars and restaurants in New Jersey decided that they were going to boycott New Jersey breweries and not sell any of their beer? Well, there was a restaurant owner in Medford who owned a couple restaurants, I think, who was one of the big voices behind it. Well, the breweries in South Jersey worked with him, and he actually ended up changing his mind and now supports New Jersey breweries and realizes the benefit to his restaurant that when the brewery has a big event and a lot of people come in, they might go have dinner at his place afterwards, or the breweries donate beer to the big community festivals and everything. So it's so short-sighted. Also, that was an adjective I didn't use.
Well, and prior to this ruling, craft beer in New Jersey was the largest growing business segment. It was creating jobs. It was bringing in taxes. It's just from a state perspective, even from their bottom line, it's a stupid ruling.
Yeah, it really, really is.
And one other thing, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
The Restaurant Association represents ostensibly all restaurants, and when they support some of these more ridiculous tenets of these regulations, they are actually hurting their smaller members, because when you discourage or don't allow breweries to promote their next door neighbor pizza shop, or to work symbiotically with them, then the pizza shop gets hurt. And so it's an indication to me that really the Restaurant Association doesn't work for all of its members. It just works for its bigger members.
And the thing you hear is that, and this is one of the things that really gets me. You hear over and over and over again, well, some restaurants pay $500,000 for their liquor license. The brewery only pays $2,100 a year for the brewery license. Okay. All right. Fine.
However,
now I had a couple things on that. Number one, all right, how much did you pay for your stove? A few grand? our stove's a lot more than that. Our stove's almost as much as your liquor license. Okay, and your liquor license appreciates. Our stove, the minute we brew on it, depreciates. Okay, that's number one. Number two, okay, they shouldn't have trivia nights and events at the brewery, blah 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 blah, because they don't own a liquor license. Okay, well, the restaurant, they're more BYOBs that don't have liquor licenses. Sure, they're having a lot of trivia nights. And I'm not saying they should be equally hurt, but they're part of that. So that's part of your brethren in the restaurant association.
No, but that's to Tara's point right there. They don't care about this.
They don't. Right, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So it's so hypocritical. It makes no sense whatsoever. It lacks 100% common sense. It's coming from deep pockets, and it's something has to give.
And you know what makes some of those deep pockets? They're ridiculous markups on alcohol. I mean, look at those markups. Is that why they're so upset? Is that maybe their margin will be hurt because everyone knows they can get it a lot cheaper elsewhere? And there's so many things in this that just make this asinine. There's so much speculation as to why they're doing it, why they think it's hurting them. And like a lot of people said, a lot of these restaurants that are really big and behind this, they've been around forever. Make a better product. A lot of people aren't going to you because your food now sucks because you've not changed with the times. You still have the same soggy ass chicken cutlet that you put a tepid red sauce over and just melt a ton of cheese on top of.
Right.
Stop.
Scott would still probably eat it though.
Scott, no. Scott is a connoisseur of. Connoisseur.
He would no. he may only eat it once.
Yeah, he'll.
But he would still try it.
Same.
Yeah.
Still guilty.
In any event, the only other thing I was going to say was, a lot of the restaurants that are very vocal that they're part of they're behind what's going on, right? They don't have any craft beer, or they have outside craft beer. But either way, they don't have any local craft beer or craft beer at all. So what makes them think by limiting people going to a craft brewery that want craft beer, especially local craft beer, that they're going to wind up going to their restaurant, eating and drinking a Bud?
Yeah, because their beer drinkers are there to toss down a Bud.
Right.
Yeah.
And those people are not going to the brewery. No. So what's the difference?
They don't get it. And you get those like let's take Ryan at Cloverleaf, who understands. He gets a lot of people walk through the doors because of the beer he serves.
Of course.
And it's craft, and a lot of it is local, and he's a big proponent of the local craft breweries. Yep. He's done collaborations with them. And he came out of COVID probably stronger than he went into it.
Yep, he did.
Right?
Yep.
So, look at the models out there. Look at who has done well in this. Make better food. Do a better job. Stop blaming everybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah. Update your atmosphere too while you're at it.
Yeah, this is true.
Well.
Because those people that appreciated your atmosphere, they're either dead or dying.
Right. I know. It's a scapegoat. For some of them, the tasting rooms are a scapegoat.
Yeah.
For the reasons we're saying.
Of course. Absolutely. Final words on New Jersey special ruling.
There are a lot of great resources on the New Jersey craft beer page. Very good letters that you can just copy and paste right to your legislators. A lot of good information there. And yeah, I mean, New Jersey is actually the laughingstock of the national beer scene right now. If that matters to anybody.
Absolutely huge.
Pennsylvania is courting our breweries to come to them.
Oh yeah, that's true too. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I mean, what we really need is liquor license reform, but that's going to be a horrible slog. So in the meantime, I'm just really hoping, like I said before, the legislators realize how many people want this, what's really going on, who it's hurting, and take some action.
I hate to say this, but Chris Christie wouldn't have let this happen. Hate to say it, but it's true. He would not have let this happen.
Yeah.
If it's one thing he did well for this state, it was support the craft brewers.
Well, that law doesn't get passed in September of 2012. We aren't anywhere near where we are right now with breweries.
Correct. So he wouldn't have let this happen. So, as heinous as a human being that most people think he is, he at least did well in this segment.
Yeah.
Well, and I have to plug my local member of Congress down here in Camden, Don Norcross, because when he was at the state level, he was a huge proponent for craft breweries and did a lot to really push it along. So I don't know if anybody's getting his attention on this, but if they're not, I'm going to start. I'm sure he's aware, but I don't know if he's just leaning on anybody yet. I think he needs to start.
I got you.
I've seen a few of the lawmakers in Trenton that are visiting breweries to show their support.
Yep.
I'm hoping that when they all come back into session, because this was done just as session ended and everyone went on vacation.
Yeah, right.
So I'm hoping that when everyone gets back, they're going to go,
timing.
What the hell do you think you were doing?
Timing, right. Yeah.
And then reel this jackass in, this power hungry, obviously bought jackass, and say, first of all, we're going to undo what you did, and second of all, you're fired. But unfortunately, our governor has to do that because he's appointed.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll hopefully something gets done. Hopefully they say what they get back. Excuse me, they get back and they go, all right, well, wait a minute, let's put the brakes on here. Let's get all the players in here and discuss the solution to this. And have it go at that. So cross our fingers. We'll see. But Tara, anything that you come across, throw it by us. Throw it to us. We'll put it right up.
Sure.
We're doing it for everybody.
Great, thanks.
Do we have the link for NJCB up that they put up about all the letters?
I didn't put that up yet. We didn't put that up yet.
We need to get that.
We'll put that up as soon as we're done here tonight.
We don't need the video of Kivovitz on TV.
No, we don't.
I love my.
The Jeff Allworth, who writes the Beervana blog, the reason.
Put that up. We put that up. The one he put up last week.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah, he
explained that very, 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 very well.
Okay.
Yes, he did. It was one of the more clear and concise ways that people have explained it. Other than Scott Wells doing it in memes.
Well, you need the memes, though.
You need the memes.
Between Scott and Augie. Oh, damn it. I just said it the third time.
Oh, crap.
Drink.
Okay.
Hold on. There, he just popped up.
There we go. Yeah, Scott explains it for the low attention span audience.
Yeah. Right.
Which is most of his audience. So.
Well, I did like one of the first ones he put up. It said, "Excuse me, you got to come check out our grease traps before I can make you your Happy Meal."
Yep.
That was
yeah.
That's one of the best ones.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah. So anyway, all right.
Oh, that's what it was. I'm trying to remember. I just remember the brewery that put it up. I think it's Warren County. They had a visit from their lawmaker. Yeah, there it is.
Buttsville?
Yep, Buttsville Brewing.
Mm-hmm.
And Malinowski.
Okay.
Malinowski. There's been a lot of support.
There's been a lot of support. There's been so much support that it would actually shock me that within the next, few weeks, something doesn't, change. And I don't mean like, a switch flip, but start to change.
Well, the hard thing about this is what I don't think everyone understands is these were laws that were on the books. These were laws that were on the books pre-COVID, and they just weren't enforced.
COVID delayed them. They weren't enforced. COVID delayed them. They told them to put the brakes on. But the Brewers Guild worked with the ABC, and they came up with concessions to a lot of this. And the ABC just threw it all out the window and went right back to where it was in 2019 and put it right back up.
Exactly.
And the association.
The
Guild and the Association.
And the Guild and the Association. Yes, both.
But that's the hard part behind this. This is a law that's on the book. It needs to be overturned, changed, amended, ratified, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Not even clarified. The ABC has clarified it. and they've clarified it in the harshest way possible.
Right.
Right? They have.
Well, I guess. Sorry.
Yeah, but no, it needs to be ratified. They need to understand what all these regulations are doing to the breweries, what it's doing to this business segment of New Jersey, this tax garnering business segment of New Jersey, and figure out what's right for everybody. And stop taking the money from those who are greasing the palms.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck.
Okay.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck. Exactly.
This is New Jersey.
Look, baby step. I'd be fine with baby steps, but they got to start walking. They got to start going.
Yeah, they got to get in the right direction. Put that big old head in one direction and just let the body follow it.
Yeah. So,
if anyone's seen a toddler walk, you know what I'm talking about.
Exactly. All right. Why don't we do our top threes? Let's do our top threes.
Sounds good. And then I have dinner waiting for me on the table upstairs.
So do I. So let's get this done. Let's do it.
Well, I opened a third beer, by the way. It's the one I told you I was going to drink.
Oh, you did that? I'll throw that up. That's the
Fifth Hammer. Nice. Mary and Chris.
Oh, yes.
Congratulations to their baby Zephyr.
Yep. Their daughter Zephyr.
They have a baby Zephyr. So.
Cool.
Baby Zephyr.
That's right.
There you go.
And the last time I was there after the baby, and they said that they have not brought the baby around yet, and that Mary had not returned to work, and they fully expected Mary to return to work before he did.
Before Chris did, yeah.
Which is probably very accurate.
I'm sure.
No, this beer is really, this one's good.
Very nice.
I may have to bring after the show, bring some in to carry over. She's sworn off beer until our vacation in August because we're going to Asheville, and she knows her liver's in trouble.
There you go. All right.
Yeah.
True. All right. So tonight's top three. Shall we do a top three list? Why? Two reasons. One, when we first started the show a couple years ago, before we had guests on the show, it was just Dave and I. So top threes.
And who was our first guest?
Who was our first guest? I can't say his name. But
we've already said it 3 times.
All right. Right. So which we call before we had guests, it was we started the top threes, and it was there was 2 top 3 lists, mine and Dave's. So it's 33. We were paying homage to 1933, right? Repeal prohibition, but also a top 10 list would be too long. So
considering we usually don't stick to 3.
Considering 3, anyway. We usually do 4 or 5 anyway. So
good, because I have 4 written on it.
You're fitting right in.
I was like, can I sneak one in?
Yeah. All right.
Always.
So tonight's top 3 list, in honor of Tara, where she resides in and around, would be top 3 favorite beers brewed in or near Philadelphia. So top 3 favorite beers brewed in or near Philadelphia. Tara, please start us off and let us know what your top 3s are.
Sure. So I should say that it would be impossible to name my top 3 favorites, but these are some of my favorites, the ones that came to mind and made me smile today as I was thinking about it.
Gotcha.
So I love a Mexican stout. Speaking of pastry stouts, my favorite style. There's some really good ones in New Jersey. The closest one that gets made regularly to me that I know of is 8 and Sand in Woodbury. They make Bad Hombre Mexican stout. Yes,
ooh, I haven't been there yet.
Plus, the name is so exquisite.
If
you don't get the reference, look it up. I'm sure you guys do. So, as my number 2, Midas Touch from Dogfish Head, because I know it's an hour plus away, but Dogfish is the only thing in Delaware that Philadelphia claims as local. Philadelphia could care less about Delaware except for Dogfish. We act like it's ours. So Midas Touch.
Quick question for you. Where is Penn University?
In West Philly.
So there's your connection right there, because it's one
thought of that. Yes, very good. Go ahead, say it.
Because I can't remember his name, but one of the professors there is the one who he is.
Dr. Pat McGovern.
Pat McGovern, that's him.
Yeah.
And I forget his title. He is a archaeobiologist.
I forgot his exact title, but I think he's a molecular archaeologist, and he something like that at the University of Pennsylvania Museum of Archaeology and Anthropology. Yeah.
So,
And he has led, or at least been in attendance on a lot of these ancient beer discoveries that we're talking about.
Mhm.
and
Go
what
ahead.
and then
Go ahead.
then what he does, he figures out the ingredients. They can't figure out the proportions, but he just throws the ingredients to Sam Calagione, and all the ancient ale series comes from Mr. McGovern, and the collaboration between them. So Midas Touch is one of those ancient ales. So it has its birth in Philly.
Midas Touch is a delicious beer.
That's a great beer.
I love that you thought of that connection. I actually got to drink a Midas Touch in Dr. Pat's office with him.
Really? That's awesome.
As he held up a bag of dirt from Midas's tomb.
Oh my God. That is so cool.
That was the moment. Like, that was a super moment.
That's just excited the history nerd in me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Wow.
That, I think, and I digress because I do want to go through quickly. So I'm going to just say one additional thing, which is that I think that museum is the most underrated attraction in Philadelphia. So everybody watching, go to the Penn Museum. If you care about ancient history at all, it is spectacular.
Never been on the list.
There.
And then what was number 3? It faded already. Darn it. This is maybe not a PC name anymore, but Free Will Mango Habanero Safe Word Double IPA. Delicious.
Mm-hmm.
And then my 4th was Any Cezanne by Forest and Maine.
Oh, absolutely.
Super, right?
Oh, absolutely. I forget about Forest and Maine every now and then because they're so kind of out of the way of everything.
Yeah.
What was the name of the beer?
Any Cezanne.
I didn't.
Any
Cezanne. Yep.
It is a and they've got the neatest building. It's just a house. Do you want to drink in this room? You want to drink in the parlor? You want to drink in the den? You want to drink in the living room? Whatever. Just go drink somewhere.
Yeah.
But the bar is right off the den.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that's one of the most spectacular places to eat and drink in the area. Sadly, they have just vacated that premises and have built 2 new facilities nearby. But yeah, that was so part of the experience, right? Yeah, they're not there anymore.
That's like when River Horse moved.
Right.
Because that was such a cool space.
The Lambertville space was so cool.
Oh, that's a shame.
So, anyway, all right, Dave. What are yours?
Well, John's allowing me to go first, and he knows full well that
he's going to take pretty much all of mine, but
most, if not all of them. And one of mine and John's favorite places in all of Philly is Human Robot.
Mm-hmm.
I just absolutely love it. The Czech 10% is one of my favorite Czech Pilsners brewed in this country. And I love that that's what they use for the milk tubes. And I got to say it, I know it's kind of a gimmick and all, but I freaking love milk tubes. to the point that I got Ghost Talk. I got Tom at Ghost Talk to make me a milk tube. He will do ghost tubes on request. And the next one is it's the 12%. And I'm embarrassed to say the first time I ordered it, even though I know better, John knows I know better, I called it Palotmovy. And then I went back with my beer and went, idiot. Polotamavi.
That's like the honeymooners. My string of Peloponnese.
I was just so embarrassed for myself. And the beer tender, credit, didn't correct me. So those are the 2 that are in Philly. The other 2 are outside of Philly. Tonewood's EMB. And there's Ghost stealing another one of John's.
Of course.
It's an ESB. It is just perfectly brewed to the style.
Dark mild, actually, right?
Dark mild, that's right. I'm sorry. Perfectly brewed to the style. It is absolutely wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. But I had to, because I am what I drink, and I am stout. So I have to throw a stout on there because I do love my stouts. And that is Call Me Chris by Bonesaw. Oh, this is a big, thick, flavorful beer. No, it's not a pastry stout, but damn, it's big. It's a little on the drier side, but the flavors it throws, it's a wonderful beer. I really enjoyed that one.
Wasn't that a movie? Wasn't that a holiday movie back in the day? It's a wonderful beer.
It's a wonderful beer.
It's a wonderful beer.
Yes, every time that beer glasses clink, an angel gets its wings.
There you go. All right. So mine that most of them are screwed up or whatever, but I'll give you this. I'll change them a little bit because I did have some extras in here too.
Because you knew I
knew I was going to take them, right?
I stole two of yours, didn't I?
Right. So I'm going to give you two. Human Robot, as Dave said, it's one of our favorite breweries in Philly, and whatchamacallit? Just to finish up. But I'll give you two honorable mentions from Human Robot. Their Bergenstraub, which is their Keller beer, and their Rauschlosch.
Yes, I almost put that on my list.
Amazing beer. So,
but I don't want to pander to John Hall anymore.
Right. So my number 3 is for Mechanical, and that's Skull Beer. It's a Baltic Porter that they do.
I've not had it, so.
Mm-hmm. So
I love that style.
That's a tasty beer. My number 2, and I'm just going to say it but he said it already, and that's EMD. It's the Dark Mile from Tonewood.
So good.
And my number 1, he didn't take, that would be the Tamabe 13, the actual Czech dark lager, because the Polo Tamabe is a Czech half dark lager.
But you know why? They've never had it when I was there.
You never had the Tamabe 13?
No, I have not.
All right. Well, Tamabe 13. Yeah, that's my number 1. So
I'm not going to throw something up that I've not had.
Well, there you go. Fair enough.
Awesome choices.
There you go. So those are ours. All right. On that note, I know everybody wants to get going, and we've been on the show for a while. So why don't we just stick around for 1 second, Tara, when we hang up?
You guys have to eat up.
You got to go, and so do I. But so we'll wrap the show up on that note for today. We want to thank Tara. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks.
It was an amazing show. We got so much information. It was great to hear about everything you've done, and obviously wax a little nostalgic about some stuff, and then of course talk about all the New Jersey nuttiness as well. So, but so we'll definitely I'll definitely let you know we'll let you know when we read the book. And we'll talk about that.
Please do. Thank you.
At length. And
one second.
I was just about to say, where can everybody find the book?
So
we'll post the link afterwards, but let us know.
Thanks. You can order it online at your usual places. If you want to support indie bookstores, you can order it online at bookshop.org. That money goes to indie bookstores. You can also buy it through my website, taranurin.com.
There you go. We'll post that up right after the show. We'll post it up. And just really quick, Irene Wilkins just said cheers. So I wanted to get that up there. So, anyway, so on that note, we'll wrap the show for today. We want to thank everybody for watching. For those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. Please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday night around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Tara, once again, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
And spending a couple hours with us. We really thank you so much.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
It was fun.
Thank you. It was great fun for us too.
Absolutely.
Anyway, have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Drink a lot of beer, but drink responsibly. And we'll talk to you soon, folks. Take care. Cheers.
Cheers.
Mm-hmm.